And we are live. Welcome everyone to today's live stream. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
And we are
So it's good.
live. Welcome everyone to
I hear echo. I hear echo.
That was my fault, but
Okay,
we're all
no
good
problem,
now.
Mr. Wong. No problem, no problem. All right, everyone. So it seems so long, even though we didn't do one just for 1 week, right? It was only 1 week, but it just seems like it's been a long time. I miss doing this live stream with you guys and everything. So welcome to today's live stream. A lot to share with you guys today. So I hope you guys are ready to go and strapped in. All right. So Mr. Wong, happy Friday to you, sir.
Hey, happy Fridays to you and James and everyone else that are tuning in today. I know
Yes.
it feels like a while, right? We missed two podcasts.
Yeah,
Feels like for a while.
Yeah, it sure does. I know. So welcome everyone. Hey James, what's going on, buddy? How are things out there in California?
It's been kind of weird, man. Have you been hearing about all the wildfires? I've been waking up in the morning recently, and it looks like I'm on Mars. The sky's all orange, pumpkin spice orange, and pumpkin spice is back in Starbucks, so that's a good thing. But
so, yeah, I've been hearing about the wildfires out there. It seems pretty insane and intense. So what's the death toll like? A lot of people dying from that wildfire?
I don't think a lot of people are dying, but there's just been a colossal amount of damage and ridiculous amount of firefighters having to battle it, and the air quality's been pretty bad. I know a lot of my neighbors and myself, we've been getting headaches recently, and it's kind of bro science or whatever you want to call it, but people are saying it's due to the air quality. So strange times.
Yeah, got you. Yeah, I've been noticing, seeing some posts and stuff like that. So I know it's pretty intense out there. So hopefully, they can get it under control and, get things back to somewhat normal. I know we're still dealing with the COVID-19 situation. So hopefully that can get under control as well. I know they're talking about a vaccine. And I think someone said that they could possibly have a vaccine by the end of the year. I'm not sure how realistic that is, but hopefully we can get something so we can get back to somewhat normalcy. This is getting crazy now to be locked down like this, but we'll see what happens. So guys, look, let's get right into it. A lot of topics to talk about today. Let's talk about the Bitcoin price. I know that a lot of us are looking at the Bitcoin price and, kind of wondering what's going on. Maybe some of our new people might be a little bit discouraged with this Bitcoin pullback, but, this is normal. I tell people all the time, when you have a 10% pullback in the cryptocurrency space, it's pretty much par for the course. It's not like a typical stock market where a 2% pullback and everything is going crazy. Cryptocurrency is very, very different. But let's keep in mind that there are a few things that contributing to the Bitcoin price pullback. We did pop over 11,000. We did pop over 12,000. My short-term target on the upside was I was looking to see 14,000 to break that. So that didn't happen. It pulled back below 10,000 for a very short period of time and then bounced back up again. Now it's like 10,003, which is not bad. I still think that we may have some downside still. I think we can easily go down to like 9.5. That's my worst case scenario right now, short term. So we'll see what happens. But don't be discouraged. There are a few things that cause the pullback right now, and we're going to talk about it. But Mr. Wong, let me get your take on it. What do you think is going on with the price right now, the pullback?
What I like the way you put it. I mean, this is pretty much the normal, range bound kind of how Bitcoin's reacts. A lot of the expert comes out and say, hey, traditionally September is usually like the worst month of the year for cryptocurrencies and Bitcoins and whatnot. So, but for us as a veteran, Bitcoin miners and been in the game for multiple years, and we have seen these ups and downs. And actually, I was talking to our CEO Don yesterday, and he pretty much tells me that this is what he was expecting. His expectation is that from now till end of the year, he's expecting to see Bitcoin's going to range bound between 7 and 12. So I know that's a big gap, but that's I won't be surprised if, like you say, goes down to 9,500 or even further. But then you know what? That would be great for the miners, right? You know, our mining difficulties correlates with the Bitcoin price, right? Actually, inverse relationship. You know, as Bitcoin price goes up, it becomes more difficult, you know, to mine because you have more competitions, right? And vice versa holds true. So that's not what I tend to focus on. Not so much on the price on a daily basis, but I tend to focus more on the adoption rate.
Yes.
I know you have some great articles that you want to share, but I actually was reading an article that came out from a very well-respected bank, and one of their analysts at DBS Bank, which is one of the economists actually. DBS Bank is actually a Singapore-based international bank, have branches throughout like Southeast Asia.
Okay.
As many of you guys may know, Singapore is actually one of the early countries to adopt cryptocurrencies. Actually, 2 years ago, we had our block show over in Singapore.
Yeah,
Where
they're
our
very crypto
CEO,
friendly over there for sure. Yeah.
that's right, and where our CEO actually spoke at their block show. But according to their analysts, actually, they did a study, right? This is quite interesting. The study was published in August of this year, so it's pretty fresh. They actually look at the pre-pandemic and the post-pandemic adoptions. What the economists have found is that during the pre-pandemic, those are adoption, those people that are coming in, they were mostly and largely speculators, right? They speculate and they think that there's some quick money to be made, so that's the reason why they get into crypto and bitcoins and start to trade them, hopefully to make some short-term profits. However, what he was able to find is that the post-pandemic, so meaning that after the pandemic started to happen, the adoptions or those people that came into the cryptocurrency market, those were no longer speculators. I mean, they are actually people that genuinely believe that Bitcoin, has more to offer than just speculations. Things like, it has a fixed circulations, right? It will not debase, and especially when people are worried about the dollar outflow and wondering if they should hold crypto in addition to gold as a safe haven or as a additional de-risk piece of asset. Based on the research and the survey that the bank has done, they find that people that came in during the post-pandemic period are much more a believer in the real benefit that crypto or Bitcoin has to offer, which is debase, de-risk, and so that's what the report found. I mean, I'll drop the link in our chat below. I mean, later on, so you guys can take a look at it. But also, James, can you pull up the blockchain website that I sent you earlier? This is another thing that I tend to focus more than just the daily fluctuations in price.
While James is doing that, just want to comment on one of the things. As you're talking there, I was thinking, which makes a lot of sense, as far as the post-pandemic adoption into the Bitcoin space, because, let's think about it. After the pandemic hit, right? And right after that is when the vast amount of the quantitative easing, if you will, went into effect.
Sure.
And so, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, okay, I need to protect myself, because if the government is going to debase the currency as they are, and if I cannot expect to have any kind of safety in equity market, right, then my only other options are I have gold and I have Bitcoin, right? So I think that makes sense to see more people, gravitating towards Bitcoin post COVID, because I think a lot of things are coming to light and people are realizing what's taking place and now they're looking to protect themselves. So that makes a lot of sense to me, based on that article.
Yeah. So thanks for pointing that up. If we take a look at it, this is actually from blockchain.com. For those of you that are not familiar with blockchain.com, they are also one of the pioneers to offer cryptocurrency wallet. So to hold your Bitcoins and your digital assets, right? So, and I actually did a 180 days look back, right? That's pretty much like when kind of like the pandemic started to hit. Now, instead of, your normal thinking, the pandemic's here, people are actually losing jobs, they're, not getting paid. They're going to want to hold on to their money, right? Actually, it's quite the opposite. If you look at the growth of the wallets, this chart actually shows you this is actually pretty blur on my screen, but I think it's from, is that 180 days, James? Can you click on the 180 days, please, at the bottom?
Oh, sure thing. Here you go. Here's 100 days.
So we'll just wait a few seconds for the chart to refresh. Yep. So from April, right, which is kind of like the start of that craziest moment in the U.S., the number of new registered Bitcoin wallets or crypto wallet has grown steadily, very nicely. Actually, it's like a really nice upward trajectory.
That's nice. Yeah, I was looking at. That's a very nice incline slope. I was looking at that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the specific reason why I want to do 180 days, lookup is because we were in this really twilight zone period, right, where people were losing jobs, right? The cities being shut down, right? Country borders are being shut down. People's, future becomes very uncertain. But guess what? That doesn't deter people from adopting, Bitcoins and cryptocurrency and signing up for new crypto wallets. This is, by the way, this is not the entire numbers of crypto wallets that have been signed up during this period. This is only from blockchain.com, which is one of the bigger, players out there today, right? You have Coinbase, your blockchain, your Krakens, your Binance. This is only one of the players out there, and they are seeing this really nice trajectory growth, which makes me feel really confident that people are number one, Bitcoin is here to stay, and people are adopting. And I don't know, maybe they just have more time to read about and research about what Bitcoin really is now that they're home more often. So what do you think, Gershom?
No, I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. And, people are not being, people are, I think they're more encouraged to get into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as opposed to being discouraged. Because, when you think about it, with the lockdown, the pandemic and everything, and people, not being able to work and make a living, people to close their business down, I think people are starting to see things for what they are. And I think they're losing trust in the traditional system. And now they're realizing that one of the avenues that they need to take is to take a serious look into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So yes, and also think that you're right. With people being home and not have to go to work and being at work all day and bogged down with what they do at work, now they have time to actually look around and see what's going on and read and research. And so they're realizing that, hey, I need to start taking this thing serious. And especially, with all the positive impact that Bitcoin is having on the financial society in terms of, different hedge fund coming in, or the articles about, Wall Street guys coming in and the big institution coming in, then that only going to encourage people for them to also take a look into this asset class as far as Bitcoin is concerned. So I like it. Now, let's go back to the price for a couple of minutes. So the price pullback, right? And it's important for us to analyze what happened, why we had this price pullback, right? And so there are three reasons in this article that they're talking about, right? So the first one is the DeFi projects that's been coming out. And I'm not sure if many of you guys know what DeFi means, but it's basically an acronym for decentralized finance. And so there are a lot of new projects that's coming out in the cryptocurrency space, and DeFi has been leading that charge. But what happened is a lot of these new coins and tokens that's coming out in DeFi space, a lot of them are frauds and scam. And so I tell people all the time, don't get caught up into always chasing the next shiny thing that comes up. And a lot of people get caught up into that, right? And so, as a matter of fact, there was a big DeFi project that blew up. I think, and actually, the name of the project was called Sushi. The founder pulled out all the money that was in the project and say, "Hey, I'm retired. I'm taking all the money." Another one that blew up was a project called Yam. That one completely blew up, and with a few $1 million that was involved in the project. So that was one of the things that impact the price of Bitcoin that we saw this pullback. The other thing is the traditional equity market also have a pullback, and that was going parabolic to the point where everyone was saying, "Hey, we're going to have a V-shaped recovery." We hit all-time highs. Nasdaq hit all-time high. The S&P hit all-time high, and that was just completely unsustainable. So as we all saw a couple of months back, that Bitcoin is somewhat correlated to the traditional market, because what happened is when the equity market pulls back, people run for safety, right? So initially they run to cash. So they cash out everything, right? So they were cashing out in the equity market, they were cashing out in their Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and they were also cashing out in as far as the metal markets are concerned, right? So that was another reason why that impacted the price pullback. And another reason that also impacted the price pullback was that the records show that a lot of miners were also selling at the 11,000 plus price range, because that was good profit for them, right? We were expecting quite a few miners to start selling off and even maybe exit the space when we had the halving. That didn't happen as we expected, right? Because, hey, why should I get out of the space right now when I know for a fact that the price is going to go up? But at the same time, they still need to get profit so they can pay their overhead. So what happened is a lot of miners were also selling their coins into the market, and that also impacted the price. So it's not what I'm saying that to say this. It's not the fundamental that pull the price back, right? A lot of times when you have a price dump, if the fundamentals are cracked, if the fundamentals are flawed, then you can get concerned. But this price pullback have nothing to do with the Bitcoin fundamentals. It's just the outside periphery actions that actually impact the price pullback of Bitcoin. So don't be scared, guys. Don't be scared.
Yeah, I mean, even though our podcast is not meant as an investment advice or anything, is don't take it as such, but this is what we personally believe, right? And like you say, Gershom, the fundamental has not changed since prior to having till now, right? And what I'm also wanted to kind of make clear is that that's what's nice about Bitcoin mining economics. I mean, it is it's all about your cost and how much you can mine, your dollar cost averaging it, right? So over like a period of, let's say, throughout the day, that's usually how those miners pay for their electricity fees. It strictly depends on what your electricity cost is, right? And how much FTE, they call it a full-time equivalent, that you have to pay to manage the machines. We're fortunate enough, and also, by the way, the interest that many miners are paying to finance the machines, right? We're fortunate enough that all of our machines are fully paid for. right? For VBIT itself. And so we don't have those, sell pressures. And we're also fortunate enough that our CEO, was able to source out, some great electricity contracts, so where we have a very stable and predictable electricity costs for the long term. So with those two combinations, we can, sit back a little bit and be a little bit more relaxed than the other mining companies, right? And not have to worry so much about, am I going to be mining enough to pay for my electricity fees and the interest on top of it, or do I have to sell some? I for myself, everything that I mine, I kept. I am a long-term believer, and that's what I'm doing. So,
yes, you touched on a few points that triggered me to want to bring this up. I think our members, most of them probably already know this, but I'm so proud of how strong our company is. Everything that we have, we pretty much own. We don't finance our mining machines. We're very liquid. We don't have any debt. I mean, I don't think people understand how beautiful that is when you have a company that is not, burdened with debts and, all kind of loans just to run the business. It's a very beautiful thing. I think, I give really, props to you guys, Mr. Wong, you and our CEO and Mr. Gao, to position the company to where we can run so efficiently. It's really a wonderful thing, and I think sometimes as members, we really need to admire that and be appreciative of how you guys have structured the company and position the company to be super, super competitive. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
Beautiful thing. Yeah. So having said all that, right, the price of Bitcoin is still up over 14% in the third quarter. So imagine that, guys. Imagine that we have this pullback from almost 12,000, right? And we drop back under 10,000 for a very short period of time, and then we bounce back up over 10,000, right? But still, with all of that, Bitcoin is still up over 14% just in the third quarter alone. And right before the podcast started, I didn't look to see the year-to-date increase, but I'm willing to bet that that's also outpacing the traditional market as far as the equity market and the metals market as well. But it's very encouraging to see that with this price pullback, that Bitcoin is still up over 14% in the third quarter. What's your thoughts on that, Mr. Wong? Mr. Wong, you there?
Yep, I am. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
We're good.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm just fading in and out. So, ever since the pandemic, I mean, these internet connection has really be very, very choppy. And
I think it's causing that.
I think maybe just too many people that are online and it's causing that bottleneck.
Okay.
At the switches or at the outside, I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, I think, Bitcoin has really just performed what our CEO had predicted, actually, which is within $7,000 to $12,000 range. I take every opportunities that I can to increase my hash power whenever I could, right? Which, we have the feature called the auto rebuy. And with that, I'm just happy that I'm mining Bitcoins at $12,000 or $7,000. And I'm not going to sweat that Bitcoin goes up or down by $1,000.
Yeah, it's awesome. As a Bitcoin miner, so as miners we take the long view, right?
Right.
But sometimes human beings, we're very emotional and we get attached to things, especially things that we are involved with. And so I kind of understand why some people get caught up in the everyday price movement. I think if you're trading, I do some trading on the side. So for that reason, I kind of watch the price just for trading, not for a long-term investment. or mining, so to speak, right? But some people do. But as a miner, I really don't care about the short-term price movement. I really don't. I know that, and it's funny because sometimes when the price drop, I know that I'm going to mine more Bitcoin because it's not set in stone, but oftentimes when the Bitcoin price drop, that kind of have some kind of effect on the network effect, right? And so we can mine more Bitcoin, right? So I don't mind the price drop sometimes because I know that any price drop that I see in Bitcoin is temporary. But during that temporary time frame, I'm going to mine more Bitcoin. So I really, it's really put me in a sense of ease knowing that the price movement short term have no effect on the long term benefit of being a Bitcoin miner. The only reason why I watch the day-to-day price movement is just as a trader. That's it. Other than that, I don't care what the day-to-day price movement. I have no effect whatsoever other than from a trading perspective.
Yeah, I mean, what really gets me excited is not to get up and see a Bitcoin, move up 5, 6, 7% a day, but what gets me really excited is get up and actually reading these news about so and so company started accepting Bitcoins, so and so company started accepting Bitcoins.
Yes,
that's what really gets me excited because I know, for every multinational, these big companies out there that are, starting to accept Bitcoin, there are going to be that many more people that are going to be exposed to it, right? That Bitcoin is here to stay, and people are going to, that natural curiosity are just going to kick in and say, hey, let me read this up. Let me read up about what is this Bitcoin? I've been hearing a lot about it, but I really never took the time to kind of read into it. Now that Coca-Cola is accepting it, let me really read into, what that is.
Yes.
That's what gets
Absolutely.
me really excited.
Yes, I mean that. Me too. I do look for those articles and information coming out as far as the Bitcoin adoption, and also to see which other big Wall Street firm is getting involved and things like that. So, absolutely. All right, guys. So it's time for our traditional video of the day, and so this video have one of the persons that we like to listen to. Because he's a Bitcoin whale, if you will. He's been in space for a very long time. His name is Mike Novogratz. And he was being interviewed by Bloomberg Television. And he said some really interesting things as it relates to specifically Bitcoin, but also the overall cryptocurrency space. And he also alludes to the effect that some of these DeFi projects is having on the cryptocurrency space. And so I'd like you guys to listen to the interview. It's probably around 10 minutes long. And then after that, we can discuss some of the things he talked about in more details. But I think that it's a really, really good conversation. And you guys are going to really find it interesting, some of the things that he has to say. So whenever you're ready, James, go ahead and play the video, sir.
Let's start with this environment right now, which last time you were with us, we talked about the low rate environment, how it's pushing a lot of people into different assets. But what has it meant, do you think, in terms of the viewpoints on cryptocurrencies?
So listen, crypto, like any of the other speculative assets, has benefited immensely from a perception of zero interest rates forever and central banks just jamming liquidity in like they're trying to feed a foie gras duck. You're jamming the food into the duck, and so we've seen a nice move in the Bitcoin price. We've seen a stellar move in the Ethereum price. That's based around this burgeoning new space in crypto called decentralized finance. And what you're seeing in DeFi, which is really interesting, is really reminiscent of what you're seeing in Tesla. Just a speculative frenzy. There are new projects that are doing really cool things, but they're getting such a surge of liquidity so fast. It's changing at a speed I've never seen in markets. There was a new project called Sushi that was only launched 5 days ago, and it's over $1.5 billion market cap in 5 days. And so that worries me some. While it's early in DeFi, to see speculative frenzy like that. I mean, I think about Tesla today. Right, Tesla's a stock that's up 600% on the year. That's trading at over 1,000 times earnings. was up 13% yesterday after being up 70% because of a split. And they announced they're going to sell $5 billion worth of stock, and the market wants to trade up. That's the power of this frenzy we're in right now. It's irrational exuberance. You can call it what you will. I'm a little worried that we're going to have a big correction in a lot of risk assets soon. I don't think it's a correction that lasts for that long because the liquidity machine's not being turned off. But I think we're going to go through a series of these bubbles, and it feels close to being at peak bubble right now.
Well, there's a lot to unpack in what you said there, Mike. Let me start just with the digital asset part of things, because a lot of people are just starting to get their head around Bitcoin, even though there's been a very long dialogue taking place on that cryptocurrency for many years. But you alluded to the fact that you're seeing a lot of digital coins very quickly created and well received in the market. In fact, our partners at Bloomberg just put out a story about hundreds of coins being created, and they referenced a few others like pork chop and spaghetti and whale. It sounds like you say that caution's the key word with some of these new coins. What's your ultimate takeaway for investors on these new names, these new coins that are coming to market?
Do your work. Have fun, be careful. Listen, I lived through and profited through the 2017 crypto bubble, and this feels somewhat reminiscent to it. It was the ICOs back then, a new ICO every day, and the herd would swim to that ICO and jam the price up, and there'd be a frenzy of liquidity and price, and then it would collapse and they'd move on to the next thing. And it feels a little bit like that. I think DeFi is going to be around longer. I think that you are building infrastructure. Compound might exist in 20 years, and we might trade interest rates, not at JP Morgan, but on Compound or on some decentralized baby. But this is still, we're a sandbox right now, and it's a sandbox that's getting liquidity like it's an adult industry. And so it's be very careful. What's interesting is the new Bitcoin buyer is an institutional buyer. It's a high net worth buyer. They're coming in methodically and slowly, and they're not stopping. And so that's keeping the Bitcoin price up. A lot of the traditional crypto people, right, are selling their Bitcoin, buying the sexier objects. And so in this move of this kind of mania, which we're seeing in decentralized finance, it's pushing Ethereum price up because it's built on the Ethereum network and other protocols. It's probably putting a little weight on Bitcoin, which tells you how powerful Bitcoin is, that even with that selling pressure, it's still going up based on the macro story.
It's all helpful context, Mike. I think it's also, since you mentioned Tesla, it's worth talking about. The skeptic would say, look, this is crazy, all this money flooding into Tesla. Others would say Tesla, because of the company and Elon Musk and the pop culture phenomenon around him, has actually introduced a lot of new investors to the stock market. What about in the cryptocurrency world, where you've got increasing players? I mean, even here in Canada, you've got players like Wealthsimple, which have allowed for more crypto trading within portfolios. You've got publicly traded businesses like yours, Galaxy Digital, which is sort of essentially a way by which investors to have some direct or indirect exposure to what's going on here. Are those who sort of dismiss the cryptocurrency story missing what some have really been embracing?
Listen, cryptocurrency is here for good. And so I couldn't say that in 2017, 2018. That sentence comes with an exclamation point starting this year, right? We crossed the Rubicon. Bitcoin is not going away. The Ethereum project is not going away. It's got critical mass, and you're going to continue to see innovation after innovation. I would still tell you that while Bitcoin is a finished product as a store of value, as a digital gold, the rest of crypto, you need to put into the broad venture bucket. It's still a sandbox. There are experimentation, there's spectacularly cool innovations happening, but we're really, really early. I love all the new access points. I love all the new participants, people understanding how it works. And I am positive in 10 years, the ecosystem around cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the whole space, blockchains, is going to be multiple times bigger than it is today. And so that's a big deal, and that's why I think this will be one of the most important years in the space. It still doesn't mean that from time to time, the speculative frenzies get carried away. I own 2 Teslas. I think it's one of the best auto companies in the world. I think it's going to be around for a long, long time, and I think Elon's a genius. It doesn't warrant a $500 billion market cap trading at, 1,300, times earnings. It just doesn't. And we will look back at this episode in Tesla in the textbooks of one that goes up with tulips and, 1999, the tech bubble. This is a Tesla bubble. Is it going to pop today, tomorrow, the next day? I don't know. It's going to pop soon because there are just too many markings of, what a top looks like. And so, I'm trying to stay as optimistic and bullish as I can on crypto because it's really early in the cycle, but give the warning that, there are other things in the markets that have me worried.
Mike, we only have about a minute left, but since you talked about digital gold, a lot of our audience this year has been looking to gold, especially given the macro environment around the world. Now, last time you were with us, you weighed in on gold versus Bitcoin, but in our last 30 seconds here, what would you say about your outlook for gold? I
still love gold. If I'm a longer term holder, I think it's going much higher. In the short run, we're at this 2000 mark. The dollar, euro's at 120 today. You could see a pause. If risk assets correct, which I think they will, all of this stuff is going to come down a little bit. But the main story is not going away. The basement of fiat currency is going to drive the price of gold higher. So I'm not selling my gold. I don't trade it as actively as I trade other things. I think gold is going to be $3,000, 12 months from now, or 2,800, or significantly higher.
All right. So once again, hope you guys found some little nuggets in that conversation, right? And so a couple of things that he was talking about, and I mentioned that in the beginning, how so many people get caught up in the next shiny thing that comes up. And he did mention that a lot of people are, find themselves, selling some of their Bitcoin to go buy the next new shiny object, and then they get wrecked. And I think the DeFi space is very attractive in some ways. It's very new. You have these decentralized exchanges. I think they challenge the bank from a traditional lending point of view, right? So I do like it, but you have to be very careful. Some of these new projects coming out, because a lot of them are scams, and they will, get you wrecked. But he also said that, look, and we all know this for a fact that, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Bitcoin is going to change the entire financial landscape, and there's nothing anyone can do about that. It is here to stay for sure. So he also said that, look, gold is something that is still I still like gold. I don't have anything against gold, but I do understand that I think Bitcoin brings a lot more to the table than gold does in so many ways, right? Transportability, it's completely concrete as far as it's only 21 million. We still don't know how much gold is in the ground, right? So for a few reasons, I do like Bitcoin over gold, but gold is still a good safe haven, if you will. But yeah, I think that was a good conversation, and I hope you guys find some value in it. And if some of the things that was mentioned in the conversation you guys would like to bring up, drop it in the comment section. Let's talk about it. Hey, Mr. Wong, what do you think about the conversation, sir?
Hey, first of all, I just want to thank you, Gershom, and I hope our audience actually appreciate, what you have done, every week to try to come up with great videos and the best videos that you probably watch like hundreds of videos on a weekly basis, and kind of to find us the best of the best, so that we can get a sense of what crypto market is about, where Bitcoin is heading. So thank you for that. Thank you for doing that. But this interview, actually, I picked up several of the things that really resonated with what we have been talking about, right, throughout our podcast. One is that the institutional and wealthy well financed people or family funds,
Yes.
and companies are coming into the Bitcoin marketplace, and they're coming in quietly and methodically. And what do we mean by that? We talked about this. They're coming in quietly by using what they call OTC markets, right? Over the counter market, which doesn't go through a traditional exchange. You're not going to see somebody, buying 1,000 Bitcoins, 2,000 Bitcoins, and all of a sudden it pushes, the price up, because the more people, the more buying side of the pressure, it's going to push the price up, right? So they're doing it very, very methodical and quietly, and circumventing these exchanges, so that their goal is to get in without disrupting the price, right? So that later on, because there's only 21 million Bitcoins out there, and there are only X amount of Bitcoins that are mineable throughout the day, right? Take 6.25 times 24 hours times 10 minutes. So that's pretty much gives you like the total number of Bitcoins, per day. So you have 6 blocks in every hours, right? So if we take 6 times 24, that's 144 blocks times 6.25. That's 900 Bitcoins. That's it. That's just clearly limited supplies. So I think they're doing it really smartly. I think our advantage is, obviously we don't have the deep pockets like those people do, institutional investors and whatnot, right? But one thing that we have going on is we have some really, really well-run data center that allow people to get into the Bitcoin mining, which I still believe, as of today, the best way to get into Bitcoins, right? You don't have to worry about these price fluctuations. You don't have to, get sweat. If it goes up 500%, $500, should I sell? Or down $500, should I sell?
And that's very stressful, by the way.
It is very stressful. My goodness,
Very,
can you
very
imagine
stressful.
that?
Yeah.
I mean, so we know the Bitcoins are here to say, don't chase the next shiny object. That's only going to get a lot of people hurt. I've been around, so I know that's not the right way to put your money. All right, so be careful out there. If you see something that goes up 6,000%, I think that's what the sushi DeFi coin that was going for, and then only to know that the founder say, "Oh, I'm going to pull out," and I think he walked away with like $13-14 million.
Yeah, he walked away with a nice chunk. You said something as far as the institutional investors coming into space, and I was thinking about this the other day. Yeah. So the last real bull market we had was in 2017, right, when Bitcoin price hit 20,000. And let's face it, at that time, there were only retail investors that pushed the price up to 20,000, right? The mom and pop, the true believers, because the space was still somewhat young in terms of years. And as far as people really trusting the network effect was still pretty new. So I was thinking, if the retail investors could push the price to 20,000, what's going to happen when the effect of all this institutional money start having the impact on the Bitcoin price? Where's that going to push the price?
And that's a very good point, Bertram. I think in 2017, and we can probably verify that number later on, I think it started out at around $1,000.
No, in 2007, it started out at $600 and something dollars.
Okay, so
yeah, that's what it started out. Yeah. 6 something.
So 600 something, and then jump all the way up to almost $20,000.
$20,000. That's insane,
right? Yeah. So if the same amount of, let's say, times that we're going to be able to grow, I mean, this is like 31x, man.
Yeah, that's
gonna push Bitcoin price maybe to over $300,000. Now this is strictly guessing. All right.
Yes. Please. We're only looking at the landscape and looking at past performance and making an educated guess and looking at the probability of what could happen, right? So, as you said in the beginning, Mr. Wong, this is not financial advice. We're not financial advisors.
Yeah.
We're having a conversation and just looking at the landscape and making an educated guess, right? So
there's a lot of potential. That's what I see. And that's what I'm excited about.
When you really think about it, it's insane to think, if the regular retail, the true believer and so forth can push the price that high, what's going to happen? If Fidelity that manages almost $8 trillion that they manage, what if they decide to put even 0.5% into the Bitcoin space?
So
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Finish it.
I'm just saying, what would that do to the Bitcoin price? And that's just one of the big institution, right? What if the other guys, Paul Tudor Jones was talking about, he's thinking of putting 2% of his net worth. I mean, of what he manages, I think, over $50 billion. So what's going to happen? Because like Mike Novogratz said, and you allude to Mr. Wong, a lot of these institutional investors, they are coming in, but they're doing it under the radar, OTC style, right? And they're doing it very slowly, very methodically, right? They're coming into space. But at some point, what they're bringing into the space is going to have an impact on the price, and it's just going to explode, right? You're going to have that exponential growth. And, exponential growth is a very powerful thing. If you ever sit back and really understand the power of exponential growth, it'll blow your mind, right? And so I think that we will see that at some point in the Bitcoin space, we're going to see an exponential growth where it's going to go from, 13, 14, 15,000 and just in a matter of weeks, just explode to multiples of 40, 50, 60,000 make your head spin. And that's what's going to happen when all this big money start to have the impact on the price of Bitcoin. All right, so we are coming to the home stretch. A couple of last topics, and these two topics actually complement each other. So, Bitcoin millionaires, right? And I know we hear the term all the time. I know, Mr. Wong, you're a Bitcoin millionaire. I'm just teasing you. But look,
eventually we will.
yes, absolutely. But guys, look, the number of Bitcoin millionaires has been increasing over the years. And I think right now they look at the numbers and they're over 17,000 Bitcoin millionaires right now that's in the Bitcoin space. So, we talk about this all the time, how Bitcoin is going to change a lot of people's lives in a lot of different ways. What we're doing with our company is already changing people's lives, right? We just have another one of our members, Mr. Fred Boko. Fred, congrats to you, buddy. Just won himself a BMW, right? I know Mr. Nixon Jung won his BMW a couple weeks back. So our company alone is having an impact on people's lives, right? But Bitcoin in general is really changing so many people's lives. So right now, there are over 17,000 Bitcoin millionaires. People that became millionaires because they invested in Bitcoin. But at the same time, also the number of wallets that is holding 1,000 Bitcoins or more has also increased over time. And now that number is an all-time high. So think about it. The amount of people that have become Bitcoin millionaires because of Bitcoin is at an all-time high, 17,000. The amount of people that's holding 1,000 Bitcoin or more in their wallet is an all-time high. What does that tell you about Bitcoin and what's happening in the Bitcoin space?
Well, it's definitely growing.
Yes.
Right? It's definitely growing. And here's another article that I'm going to drop a link into our podcast later on. James, please help me drop that into the link to our audience. You know, if you don't believe that mining Bitcoin is actually better than buying and holding, go read this article. This article was an interview with the CEO of Fidelity, right, Abigail Johnson. And Fidelity started mining Bitcoins back in 2014.
Whoa, really?
Purely for educational, purposes, right? They see this thing coming, these high net worth individuals are adapting to it. And them, Fidelity as an investment company and that holds about, several $1 trillion in under management, they went in and they set up, they actually hold $7 trillion in client assets, right? They went in and they started to set up a mining operation purely for educational purposes back in 2014. And in 2017, she did an interview saying that, well, that educational, project that we set up, it is actually making really good money. Now, fast forward today, all right, right around January, she came out again. They're actively looking for technical developers and engineers to scale up their operations. Now, Fidelity has a lot of resources that they want to go out there and buy Bitcoins on behalf of their clients or for themselves and whatnot through the OTC. They can do it all. Why do you think, instead of doing that, why do you think they choose to go for to the mining route? Because it's better, in my opinion. It's a better bang for their dollars. Simply it.
It's very simple, right? Do you want to own the cow or do you want to buy the milk? I mean, it's really as simple as that, right? Look at Warren Buffett. So he sold a tremendous amount of his gold stocks. His bank stocks, right? And he moved some of that money into gold. But he didn't go out and buy bars and bars and bars of gold. What did he do? He invested in a gold mining company.
Right.
Why? Because that's the source. You want to be the source. You don't want to be the consumer. You want to be the producer. As a Bitcoin miner, we are the producers, right? Without Bitcoin miners, there is no Bitcoin. So be the source. Own the cow. Don't buy the milk. It's the same principle. And that's what Mr. Wong is saying. Why does Fidelity is going to, allot a portion of the resource into developing Bitcoin mining? Because that is the source. And so, we talk about it all the time. Sometimes we say certain things and someone may think that we're only trying to push what we do as for the company and Bitcoin mining. Yes, we do. We're in business, right? We run a business. At the same time, it's a fact, right? It's not just some kind of sales pitch. It's a fact. And when you look at it for yourself, and if you do your own research, you will walk away realizing that if you're going to be involved in the Bitcoin and Bitcoin space, you are 100 times better mining Bitcoin as opposed to buying Bitcoin. What say you, Mr. Wong?
Well, yeah, that's the reason why I think Fidelity went into mining operation and wanted to scale it up, right? And that's the reason why we advocate that, mining is better than, buying. I don't know about 100 times. I don't think we have any figures about, how many times it would be better, but for sure, according to our CEO's calculations and business model, mining is better, simply said. So
absolutely, 100%. All right, we have come to the end of today's live stream. Once again, it was fabulous. Hope you guys really enjoyed it, and got some really good nuggets to take away. And as we said, before, these live streams is to really bring you some information that you may not get in the mainstream. You may not hear, on certain television network and so forth, because we're trying to, get you to think about certain things and educate you about the Bitcoin cryptocurrency space, so you can be a well-informed consumer when it comes to Bitcoin cryptocurrency, and also as a member of Phoebe Technologies. Okay. So once again, thank you guys for being here on this live stream. We always appreciate it. Make sure, if you are not a member of Viva Technologies, please make sure that you reach out to someone that may have invited you to this podcast. Also, you can visit our website, vibitmining.com, and also our second website, vibitopportunity.com. All right. You can also reach out to us by email at support@vibitech.com. Okay. But more importantly, if someone invites you to this webinar, reach out to that person so they can educate you and answer your questions about what we do and how you can be involved with us as well as Bitcoin miners. Mr. Wong, any last words for the folks, sir?
Hey guys, stay safe. We are, getting very close to, these COVID-19 vaccines. Even though one of the vaccines actually suffered a little bit of a setback. The trial, third phase human trial, is being halted right now, but I think the other two are still moving landscape. So I think there are definitely lights at the end of the tunnel. So don't lose hope. All right, we will get there, and stay safe. All right.
Absolutely. So don't forget to join us Monday, same time, same place, 5:30 for our next live stream. And then Monday night at 9 p.m., we do our compensation webinar. You guys know how to get there. The link is always in our Telegram group. Okay. So guys, look, have yourself a fabulous weekend. Have some fun. All right. And see you guys on Monday. You guys take care. Have a